Hi, welcome back to the Titus 2 Woman channel. I'm here. You're here with Latrice, and I am outside today. It's chilly outside here where I am, and yeah, but we're doing a video outside today. So today's video, I want to encourage you, especially those that have decided to take the road less traveled, right? Those of you that have decided to follow and obey the command of God, and you know, and do make different decisions. I know that you are not informed of just how much, agitation, chaos, unrest, and other confusion, others, should I say, confusion regarding your decisions. And so that's what I'm talking to you today. And anyone else there is on here, I really hope that this video also encourages you. I'm gonna get to a very scripture that I was given today, and so I know it's so much going on that you want to defend yourself, you want to explain, and you want to be understood, right? And you want your actions to be accepted. And I do understand. I've been there, right? You want your decisions to be seen as the best thing, right, for you, because they are the best thing for you. But the main people in your life, those that you hold dear, don't see it and don't get it. This video is for you. So I want to just help to release you that they won't, and you're not going to get it across to them, not really, where they'll fully accept it, right? So I just want to share with you the verse of scripture that was given to me today, and I wanted to share it with you. Okay, so we're gonna go over here to, let me see, make sure it's pulled up correctly. I'm reading from Matthew today. Just a few verses. We're gonna go from verse 14 through 21. And again, that's Matthew chapter 12, verse 14 through 21. And so, excuse me, it began with Jesus had healed a man's hand, right? And that action and the response behind it seemed to show us that Jesus had gone against the institution, right? The institution, and you can call it the church institution, you can call it carnal Christian institution. There are different types of institutions, but yet they all have the same leader, which is our adversary and the devil, right? And so here in chapter 14, it reads as follow, and I'll go straight through. Then the Pharisees called a meeting to plot how to kill Jesus, because Jesus healed this man's hand. Verse 15. And but Jesus knew what they were planning, so he left that area, and many people followed him, and he healed all the sick among them. But he warned those that he healed not to reveal who he was, which this fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah concerning him, which says, starting in verse 18, "Look at my servant whom I have chosen. He is my beloved, who pleases me. I will put my spirit upon him. He will not fight or shout or raise his voice in public. He will not crush the weakest reed or put out a flickering candle. Finally, he will cause justice to be victorious. And his name will be hope for all the nations and all the world. Right? And so after reading the scripture, I was like, I never read this scripture. Like, I never read this scripture stating that, or giving the reason why, Jesus, or even just the fact that Jesus didn't fight. I mean, it did teach us that, he had turned over the tables in the synagogue. But it didn't, I guess it really didn't, like, if you read it and you're not like adding words to your mind, I guess, it didn't say he was yelling, like, it didn't say he was yelling and screaming and howling. It was just that he was, turning tables over. But here in verse 19, it just stated that Jesus would not fight or shout or raise his voice in public, and that he would not crush the weakest reed. And so the weakest reed, I was really like trying to understand what it was that, the scripture was saying in this matter, because I do know when, there was a time that I went through, people not, making the decisions and following God and being obedient to him. People really were, it seemed like against you. People were in disagreement. A lot of people didn't understand, and it can sadden you. You be disappointed. Your feelings be hurt. Depending on who it is. You do want people to understand, what it is that you're trying to do or what it is that you're doing, but one thing that I had to realize is that I was hearing the voice of God, and he was speaking to me, and since I was the one following, then they wouldn't be able to understand, because I was the one hearing what to do, and he was not making them privileged to his instructions he was giving to me, right? So when I was studying this regarding that he would not crush the weakest reed, another version called it a bruised reed. And as I read more into it, they actually, it's actually like a symbol of a person or people, where it says, so it will read like this: he will not crush the bruised reed, people that are bruised by law, sin, Satan, sorrow, and temptation, without strength, that are ready to sink and die. Or he won't put out, where it says the flickering candle, another word was used, was a dying flame, which is people who deserve to be, stumped underfoot. But because his decision was to use his decision instead of stomping out the candle or bruising the reed, is instead of doing the bruising and the fanning out the flame, he will allow justice instead, right? And I remember a lot of times he was speaking of justice, and it was like, justice will prevail, that people will see, which freed me from having to defend myself, and freed me from having to, try to make people understand, try to make people accept it. And him stating that he will use justice, then therefore I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to fight for the right to make the decisions that I was making. And so therefore I'm encouraging you that you don't have to fight for your right to make that decision that is pleasing to God, that's directing your life. You don't have to fight for that right where you're deciding to follow him and let him lead you, You don't have to fight for that right. You see where it says he did not fight or shout or raise his voice in the public. And so we can use his example as an example for our lives, where we don't have to do those things with people in order to prove or show or to give them, understanding, right? And I know that, man, we so dearly want to, especially if, like, we be excited that, we hear God, and that we're following, that we're in his will, and people just won't get it, okay? So don't allow them not getting it to discourage you, right? Again, he had healed the man's hand, which was because he could do it on a Sunday, and they were complaining, but yet he was like, okay, but if it was your sheep or your animal or your income, you would have handled the matter, right? And so it was just interesting how their whole thing was, they were upset, so upset that they were gonna, they were plotting, having meetings, plotting to kill him. So those meetings that are being had about you, and what you're doing, and how you are not the person that you used to be, and how you're not the person that does what you used to do, just know that God has said, instead of, bruising those people, killing those people, he will allow justice, his way of handling them, his justice, he will use that instead. And the wonderful thing is, at the very end, he mentions how because, or when we allow his justice to be the one, or to be the solution to handling our defending, and letting his solution of justice being our solution to wanting to explain or wanting to be understood. Here at the end, when he talked about that people will then see, here in 21, it said that those that are watching your actions and saw your responses to those very people, they will then also see God's response on your behalf. And those people, which is the people that we really will be, that we will really have more of a effect on. Those people shall be the ones who will learn that they can trust in God and trust in his name, right? And the end result of all of that will be that we will be in resemblance. We will be as Jesus was, God's servant. And so I just wanted to really just come on here, share with you what God, or what I was given in scripture today that was amazing, that I hadn't read before, and yet just interesting that it was given to me at this time where, like I said, I went through the times of people not understanding me, trying to defend me, trying to understand why they don't understand, when they were people that were in church, some that weren't in church, which, okay, I wouldn't expect them to understand, but those that were in church, I really expected them to understand. Family, you expect them to understand that, regardless to whatever decisions or choices that I make, that you will support. But however, if they do, or if they have or have not, again, God has a plan, right? And here he has unveiled it for us, and letting us know that justice will prevail, and that we are to just continue to obey, continue to follow, continue to do what it is that we are doing that is pleasing to him, and just know that in the end you win, right? We win, right? And so I just wanted to encourage you today, because I know, again, been in that place, and I didn't have anyone or videos that I had came across of people that were going through that or had been through that to really encourage me. So I hope that this video encourages you to just continue to walk, continue to follow. You don't have to defend, you don't have to explain, and you do not have to make them understand or accept your decisions and what it is that you're doing. And until the next time, you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.